Hey everyone! Ever find yourself just staring up at a massive skyscraper? Or driving over some huge bridge and thinking, how in the world did this actually get built? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what it really takes to build our modern world. And trust me, it's a story that's about way more than just concrete and steel. So let's start with that big question, right? How does a skyscraper get built? You probably picture a team with shovels breaking ground, but honestly, the real work starts long before anyone even thinks about putting on a hard hat. You see, building something huge today isn't just a physical job. It is an incredible, complex dance between three things: the digital information that maps out every single detail, the financial engine that actually pays for it all, and the human expertise that makes it happen on site. If you get even one of these wrong, the whole project can literally fall apart. Okay, let's dive into the first piece of that puzzle, the digital blueprint. This is where a big, ambitious idea gets translated into a massive, super precise set of instructions that absolutely everyone has to follow to a T. So get this. Before a single scoop of dirt is moved, the entire building exists as pure data. The industry calls this construction information, and you can think of it like the project's DNA, a complete digital package that spells out every last detail, from complex 3D models to what kind of screws to use. This information is the foundation for everything that follows. Now, at the very heart of all this data are the drawings. These give us different ways of looking at the building. So plans, for example, give you that bird's eye view looking straight down. Sections are like slicing a cake. They cut right through the building to show you the inside. Elevations show you what it's going to look like from the street. And details, they zoom all the way in on the really crucial connections. You put them all together and you have a complete picture. But just having a bunch of drawings isn't enough. They all need to speak the same language. And that's where standards come in. You've got graphic standards on one side. That's all about making the drawing easy to read, with the right colors and line types. But then you have information standards, and these are arguably even more important. They control the actual data inside the drawing, making sure every title block and symbol is perfectly consistent. This is what stops massive, expensive mistakes from happening later on. So, you've got a flawless digital plan. That's fantastic. But how are you going to pay for it? And that brings us to the business side of things, the part that turns a digital dream into a project with actual money behind it. Even the type of company doing the building makes a huge difference. At one end of the spectrum, you've got the sole trader. Super simple to set up, but the owner is personally on the hook for every single debt. Yikes. On the other end, you have a public limited company, a PLC. It can raise tons of money from shareholders, but whoa, it comes with a mountain of legal paperwork and reporting duties. That choice really shapes the whole project. And where's the cash actually coming from? Well, it's almost never just one source. It's a carefully mixed cocktail. You've got equity, that's money from the owners or shareholders. You've got debt financing, which is your classic bank loan. If it's a public company, it can issue shares. And there are also things called debentures, which are basically long-term IOUs to investors. Juggling all this, it's a very high-stakes game. And managing all that cash is a whole job in itself. You start by figuring out the real cost of borrowing money. Then, and this is critical, you have to manage your cash flow obsessively. It is the absolute lifeblood of the project. Next, you plan for the future, using fancy financial tools to see if a long-term investment will actually pay off. And finally, you're constantly reporting to make sure everything stays on track. It's not a one-time thing, it's a constant process. And hey, it's not just about money. Success really boils down to managing three key physical things. First, labor. Do you hire people directly or bring in subcontractors? Second, materials. How do you handle the insane logistics of ordering, delivering, and storing tons of stuff? And third, plant. That's all the heavy machinery. Do you hire it, lease it, or buy it? Every single one of those choices can make or break your budget. Okay, we have the digital plan, we have the financial backing. Now it is time for the moment of truth. Let's head to the construction site, where all this careful planning slams into cold, hard, physical reality. And this, right here, is the fundamental challenge on any site. How do you take that perfect, clean digital model and build it in the mud and the rain and the chaos of the real world, all while making sure every single person goes home safe? Well, the answer comes down to supervision and quality control. Quality isn't just one person's job. It's a team effort, for sure. The client is there to make sure they're getting what they paid for. The architect's job is to check that the building matches their original vision. The contractor handles the day-to-day quality control on the ground. And then there's this really important role, the clerk of works, who is basically the client's eyes and ears on site, doing independent inspections. Now, when you're checking for quality, you have to know about two different kinds of problems. First, you have patent defects. These are the obvious ones. A wall that's a bit crooked, a window that doesn't quite fit. You can see them and fix them right away. But then there are latent defects. These are the hidden monsters. A faulty foundation, maybe some bad waterproofing. These things might not show up for years, and when they do, the results can be absolutely catastrophic. But above everything else, and I mean everything, is safety. This is not just a priority, it's a legal and a moral duty. It means you are constantly following regulations, doing risk assessments for every single task, monitoring the site nonstop, and reporting back. Absolutely nothing is more important than making sure every single person on that site is safe. Okay, so we've looked at the digital world, the financial world, and the on-the-ground reality. What kind of person does it take to actually juggle all of that? Let's put it all together and build a profile of what a modern construction pro really looks like. So, what's in the modern toolkit? Well, listen, it's not enough to be good at just one thing anymore. You need digital fluency to handle all the information. You need financial acumen to manage the money. You need operational leadership to run the site. And the glue that holds it all together? People management. Because at the end of the day, construction is all about motivating and leading teams of real people. This quote here really just nails it. It brings it all full circle. From the very first sketch on a napkin to the day the building is torn down decades later, good, accurate information is the one thing that runs through its entire life. It's the real foundation. And that's really the bottom line here. The old days of everyone staying in their own little box are over. The future of this whole industry belongs to the people who can speak the languages of design, finance, and site operations, and weave them all together seamlessly. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As technology just keeps marching forward, with AI helping us design buildings and robots actually helping to build them, what new skills is the construction leader of tomorrow going to need to master? What do you think?